Put it on that beat. Nope.
Welcome to episode 556 of This Week in League. I'm Nate.
And I'm Jay.
And I'm Glenn. I'm still Glenn.
Yeah. So we just had a situation there where we hit record and Glenn and I are just doing our thing, and then we can see the other one just there on the screen, just looking at the monitor which is not facing the camera. We're like, anytime. Anyway, 2 minutes he sits there before he realised that his headphones were disconnected or something. Oh my God. It's been a long week. It's been a long weekend.
It has.
So, look.
Long week.
Look, I mean, let's going to get straight into this because the sooner we get into it, the sooner we get out of it. Had a situation as people who are in the Facebook group would be aware. We had a situation on Friday afternoon and over the weekend. It was resolved over the weekend, where it was brought to our attention by a listener that a new podcast was using a logo and branding that was unquestionably similar to the point of being, you know, this is the same as ours, with the color, the basic color, the graphic devices like the silhouette device and the font used for the name, and of course, I wouldn't say that they copied it, but yeah, certainly whatever the pathway to reaching the final product was, the end result was undeniably almost identical to ours, and yeah, we don't like that, but more so than us, I think it's the listeners don't like that very much at all. And so, like, just breaking it down, I consider the logo, like the TWiL Nation logo that we've used on the other shirts and every bit of merch for like the last half dozen years. You would break it down to like three things. It'd be the shade of green that we use with the white. And then there'd be like the silhouette, and then the font that the word's written in, and then you take them individually. Like a green logo is no problem at all. And like a logo with the name written in like a cursive baseball script style font, that's no problem at all. And a silhouette from an athlete from the chosen sport where the thing is no problem either. I mean, like the NBA logo, the Major League Baseball logo, that would be examples of like a similar thing. But to hit like 3 out of 3 items in almost the exact same configuration, that's where it becomes a problem. So we posted on Instagram like a side-by-side just to call attention to it. Because while we're largely inactive on social media, apart from the Facebook group, that's where they're probably most active. So it made sense to sort of start where they were. Very quickly, we got a response from Jeremy Lattimore, who's the face of the podcast. And he was very apologetic and conciliatory in the way that he approached us. And we agreed, we sorted out, no problem, and like talk more this week, this week now, like, speaking on Friday afternoon, and everything was lovely. I felt good about things. And, I imagine, without speaking for him, I would imagine that he did too, because, we're not actually, no one here is a cunt, and it was all very friendly. Minutes later, we started getting, messages from like, their assistant or their intern or something like that, who I assume is like, project managed or, designed the logo or whatever, and told us that their logo borrowed his words from an old golf ad or something, and asked if we did the same. And then we found ourselves blocked on social media, and that's how things ended. And we're like, okay, well, that's fair, because our users, our listeners, went pretty hard, as they do when it comes to these matters. I mean, they do jump in and defend us very, very vigorously. So fast forward on Saturday afternoon, we were unblocked briefly, had a couple more messages, didn't get us really any closer to a resolution. We were blocked again, and then on Saturday evening, I think it was around 6 p.m, we got informed that they weren't going to use the logo going forward, and then we started seeing reports from the listeners that it had been changed on their socials and the podcast sites and all that sort of thing. So, I think it's all done and dusted. From our perspective, it's done and dusted. And to the listeners, I know it's hard to put the TISM demons back into the box when you've unleashed them, but it's all good. Lay down your arms. I was getting like screenshots of messages and things like that were should I send it? Like as recently as Monday. I'm like, bro, whoa, Nelly, it's all good. Calm down. Leave them alone. It's all right. Thank you for your service. I mean, it's times like these that you see the power of the community, and it's been quite a while since the listeners have felt that they had to mobilise against larger media backed entities in this way, but it's incredible support as always, and we certainly appreciate it, because I do think it's public pressure in times like these. They're the things that that drive resolution on these sorts of things. So you recall when Jeremy Lattimore a couple of years ago, when he punched Captain Cuntock's Camp Smith in the nuts, he became instantly beloved on this show. And almost the subject of a campaign to have him made Australian of the Year for that year, whatever year it was 2019 or whatever when he did it. And so I'll speak for the show when I say this, in the spirit of communication that we had with him over this has done nothing to change the way that that we think about him. I mean, he was top notch in all the communication we had, and if we'd only been talking to him, it would have been super smooth the whole way through. And really, the only other thing I wanted to say was there was a comment made during the thing about us being bullies and the rugby league podcast community is a small place and we should help each other out. And I just want to say, we know exactly how big the rugby league podcast community is because we literally fucking created it. From the first 12 followers I had on my Twitter account in 2009, and however many fucking Glenn he had in 2009 when we started this thing, literally created the rugby league podcast community, and we've spent over 15 years helping build it. And I don't have the numbers because I couldn't be researching it, but I mean, it would be fair to say that 50% of rugby league podcasts that have ever existed have come from listeners of this show who decided to go their own way with it or put their own spin on it and whatever. So, and they come to our meetups and they we get emails, or they DM us on socials. They want advice about equipment, how to do things, where to do this, how to do that, get set up, shout outs or whatever. We do it. And obviously we're extending that to Jeremy as well. I mean, if he wanted some advice on how to tweak the logo beforehand too. But in conclusion, thanks for everyone who defended the show. Thanks to Jeremy for being a good bloke. Best luck with the show going forward. Feel free to do a 3-part episode sparing no detail about how you punched Cameron Smith in the balls, because it was fucking dope and no one can ever take away how awesome that shit was. So, and I'll be the first one to download it. And again, it's just times like these do illustrate how important it is to have good stand-up cunts with you when you do these things. And it's as much as we give each other shit on the show, Glennie and Stepdad, we've all got each other's back. And I trust them to deal with shit like this without trying to boil people's bunnies, because when you have someone in your teams going nuclear and shit, it can threaten to damage the reputation of everyone involved. So thanks community, thanks boys, thanks Jeremy, and we close this chapter hopefully permanently, and we can move on and do what we do best, which is ask Glennie about C-grade Toowoomba touch.
Well, we're on a hiatus for
there's
school
your segue,
holidays, so there's fuck all to say.
Oh, what? You take off over school holidays?
Yes. And also Junior State Cup is
what
on.
What kind of
so.
C-grade tin pot fucking C-grade competition is this?
Well, all the grades are off, so... and Junior State
most
Cup
sports break over school holidays.
Yeah. Junior State Cup starts tomorrow, so parents and kids and all the rest of it will be down.
I find that this is... Yeah, I'm finding this season incredibly disjointed, and I don't feel like it has the momentum of last season.
I
like
tend to agree. There's been a couple of comments from a couple of the boys. One of the senior players. It feels a bit different this year. It's a bit clunky. We're not as clinical as we were last year, and that happens when you lose a few senior guys and you have some new faces come in. And
you mean in terms of the quality of the actual play of your side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we've also had some injuries and, guys have had stuff on. And so, yeah, it has been a little difficult to get our best squad on the park every week, and all the senior, more experienced guys together as one. So hopefully, once we've had this little break, we can finish off the season
much
strong
like and
get into the finals, and then as they say, boys, once you get to the finals, it's a new season, and the experience counts for everything. And people that thrive under pressure stand up. And
is that you?
That's me. I don't have much experience, but you know, I'm a little Westy diamond forged under pressure. So,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm going to break some try-scoring records in the final series, but, you know, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it.
I think that's, you know, a healthy balance of optimism and realism is the best way to approach these things.
That's what I always say.
So let's just aim for a try in the final series this year, because I don't remember seeing any.
Well, you didn't see in the grand final, motherfucker.
Well, not in the grand final.
Your words. I was criminally underutilised.
You really were.
If
I
you
mean,
think
it was very difficult for them to pass it to you when you're on the sideline.
if you fuck you. If you think I haven't trotted that line out multiple times this season, I'll tell you, you're a damn fool.
All right, let's hear some news articles, hey?
Yes,
What's happening in the wide, wonderful world?
You fucking tell me, bro.
Well, it's all happening with trades and player movement at the moment. The Chad is back to Sydney.
Oh yeah, and that was talk started yesterday, and then things confirmed today.
Yeah.
It's very rare that things start from zero and go all the way through to completion in like a 24-hour period. Like yesterday, it wasn't even clear if it was like you know, still like social media like meme shit, because yeah, if we're being honest, I mean, in the year of our Lord 2024, I mean, I don't think any club is absolutely smashing the doors down to grab Chad as like the man.
No, they're not. And
combination.
now this is the interesting thing about this deal. He's gone to the Roosters, who, if you were looking, like they've obviously got Walker, who is coming off contract. But,
Yeah, but he's
surely
he's
comes
a
in for
foundational
Kiri,
player
right?
that they're going to build everything around for years to come.
Well,
Yeah, so Kiri retires, and then they got Sandon Smith. That's like kind of been like the next guy coming up for a little while now.
but the article
But obviously, he doesn't
preceding
get a
this
hell of a
one
lot of.
is that the Roosters are concerned that the Broncos are set to make a big play to bring Walker back to replace Reynolds.
Yeah, look,
So
it makes some sense. But
This seems to be hedging in some respect against something like that. So
yeah, I think they've just got like a youngish Sam Walker who's really come good this year, like recently, like in this section of the year.
If Chad Townsend is plan B, you ain't got no plan.
No, and I think you got Sandon Smith, who's another young guy, and just because by nature of the fact that Kiri's the incumbent, I mean he doesn't have a hell of a lot of, he doesn't get a hell of a lot of opportunity, and I think Chad's maybe just losing Kiri, bring Chad in as like the experienced guy to help these young guys through, and I saw comments from Chad that was like he hopes to play first grade, but he understands where he is at this stage of his career. So I'm paraphrasing, obviously not looking at the quote, but he sort of he understands where he is at this stage of his career, and he's there to to usher through the next generation and help where he can, and blah blah blah.
Which is great PR. That's all the right things to say, and all of that stuff. The Newtown Jets have jumped out. There was a press release put out by the head of the West Australian Rugby League Bid Consortium this week, saying that he had taken meetings with both the Bears and the Jets, looking to bring one of those franchises along as the new Perth expansion team. It does seem that the Jets are now out of the running for that. So that it essentially leaves the resurrection of the Bears as the most likely outcome of a Perth expansion team.
Fucking stupid.
Fucking travesty.
Explain why.
It's fucking travesty. Well, Perth have previously had a standalone franchise in there, and obviously backed up, heavily by, News Limited money as part, Super League and all that sort of stuff like as well. I mean, there was a time when it was a truly national comp for 5 seconds, but I don't think any fan base unless it is the only way they can possibly get an expansion. Like, if the NRL go to the Perth and say, listen, the only way you do this is if you have a JV with, like Newtown or the Bears or something like that. And, like, there's under no circumstances are we going to let you come in your own right without, like, an existing club as part of the deal. If that was the case, then look, maybe it's something that they can sell to their constituents as, like, look, it's the only way.
Maybe that's it, though. Maybe that's essentially what's happened.
As someone whose side had a JV with the Bears, I can tell you, we got a fucking bar of those losers. And do you think the Bears are going to... How long until the Bears start to grab extra games to bring over to play out of North Sydney Oval?
Yep.
Like, realistically, I mean, they should play 0 games out of North Sydney Oval because it's got no fucking ties whatsoever to the Western Australia or Perth.
Yeah,
none.
Agreed.
How are you going to sell that to... Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that club is going to be the geographically most separated fucking side in the competition.
Yep.
More so from Sydney than New Zealand is. They need to have their full 12 games in Western Australia. I mean, like, if they want to do, like, a growing the game thing and, play a game somewhere else in Western Australia, fine. But they need to have all their home games over there to grow that shit. They can't be, like, throwing 2 of them over to North Sydney Oval or something because, again, North Sydney Oval get fucking nothing to do with Perth.
Yeah, that's it.
I just hate it, like... And the Bears just seem like they're just such fucking whores. They will jump into bed with anything just to exist outside of reserve grade. Like, it just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth.
It does seem to be the way. Look, I thought you would be chomping at the bit because, there are obviously still some Bears fans that exist within the ranks of Manly fans. I thought you would be chomping at the bit to rid yourselves of them.
Well, I mean, like, as if they would fucking disengage and go. I mean, like, as if they would do that, though.
Yeah, true.
as if they would. Why would
yes,
they? Like,
that's it.
Any West Australian team, any Perth team, not named the Quackers, don't want to know about it.
There you go.
They're not going to be called the Quackers.
There you go.
No, well, I don't want to fucking know about it then.
So you just don't want to know.
In other news, Carter Gordon is looking to join the Titans for the rest of the 2024 season instead of beginning his contract. The union player that the Titans signed is going to essentially start effective immediately.
Send him to the Perth Bears too.
Yes.
Sorry, so what's his story? I don't know anything about rugby union, bro.
Well, he was due to kick off next season.
He's got a very rugby union name, like 2 surnames.
Yeah, that's it.
What's his first name?
That's a very union thing.
Look, surely his surname's Carter Gordon.
I'm just actually looking at it. Have they signed 2 of them, or is this the same one they signed last time? Yeah, Gordon had a 2-year deal in place with the Titans from 2025. But he's already
that one. Okay, yeah.
He's already started training.
So he came from the Melbourne side that went broke.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's supposed to commence. He's supposed to start next season.
Supposed to start next season. The Titans are essentially getting him on the park to train with them, and they're going to look for an exemption to get him into the top 30. Everything else.
Want to be I mean, has he been on the park with them? No.
He's been training with them. Not much
so he
else.
must have been fucking impressive then. If they're trying to slide him into the 30 for this year, he must be impressing them significantly.
Yeah, well,
you'd think
it's the Titans.
That or the Titans have understood that the season's basically a wash, and if we can get half a season out of this guy in conditioning and skill and knowledge, we're better for it next season.
For when he's
yeah. That's this week's news.
Yeah, but also Des is so like stuck in the he's so stuck in his ways and so rigid and like unshakable in terms of like changing team compositions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That like is he really I think it's more about just getting him to train with them.
Des just wants to
the point where he can actually probably get some games in the Q Cup and things as well, just to learn.
Yeah,
the
that's
game
it.
A bit. I don't know what his league background. Did he like play league at school or something, or is he coming straight over as a lifetime rugger?
I haven't gone that deep into it. A, because it's Union, and B, it's the Titans. So,
and I suspect the first conversation Des had with old mate was asking him if he ever played with David Campese. Such is Hasler's level of fucking understanding of anything. let alone recruits.
There you go. Fuck yeah.
I think he understands a lot of things.
Oh, you fucking Des apologist. Old habits die hard.
I'm not gonna. The man has won a couple of premierships. I mean,
can I just point out
one premiership as player
the amount
and a
of
couple
time
as coach.
we're dedicating here to the Gold Coast Titans.
Yeah, you fucking brought it up. You didn't have to bring
I brought it up. It's done. We're done. The news is done.
Fucking Carter Gordon, the fucking third or whatever his name is.
You guys are the one on, if you really want your fucking arguing over if you really want your ex to be happy or not, let's go.
Oh, so that's it. That's all the news. Okay. Okay, are we going to talk about games or what are we going to do?
Let's run through some games quickly, eh?
All right, so like the Doggies, the first one, the Doggies beat the Sharks on Friday night. And I fucking told you, Glennie.
You did.
I told you the Doggies.
You did, and you're a smug cunt about it, and now you're being a smug cunt again.
Yeah, because you refused to believe how mid the Sharks were and that the Doggies could defend. I told you. Look, this was another one of those Bulldogs games where like the attack wasn't incredible, but the defense certainly did did its job. And again, the Sharks just not helped by post-origin Nico Hines. The guy he's a shadow. He's a shadow of his former self. And when I say former self, I mean
you chuckle, Glennie, but he's nicked in the head. He has the fucking yips. Seriously.
Yeah, but saying it was another post-origin.
When I say his former self, I mean...
He didn't play in Origin, you fuckhead.
He played the first one, got head fucked by it, and then that's like the same as last year. And this one was, the telltale, the huge moment, of course, was when they got down to extra time in the field goal-a-thon, and the first crack was like the Sharks had an amazing opportunity. I think they had a penalty, gave themselves field position, got down to the point where Nico took his shot from like probably 10 metres out right in front. Like about as good as you could possibly ask. Maybe not that close, but I mean as good as you could ask, and somehow found a way to miss from.
It was actually harder to miss than it was to kick it.
Like we saw Paul Gallen kick that field goal in his disrespectful field goal in his last game of regular season football in his last year. Remember?
Yeah,
it was definitely against the Tigers. Yeah, I remember it well.
Like he kicked the field goal from the exact same spot. So that's how, when we're talking about the level of difficulty, the judges have given that one a difficulty of 1.2 on a scale of 10, and he's missed it. And for their part, the Bulldogs had a pretty good set after that. Did what they did, roll down the middle, and Birdo had not the easiest field goal. I mean, there was some decent range on it, but as Birdo does, he cracks it.
Yeah,
and secured the win for the Doggies.
Certainly did. Ben,
we doing? Yep.
He came in with the obvious first comment. Nico is not a clutch player. Troy Hines, that biscuit, absolutely cannot handle pressure. Rudolph is dead set the most unfit first grader I've seen. Shocking game by the Sharks. Mitch, as a Sharks fan, all I can say is my automatic car has more clutch than Nico. Jesus. Terry, that was so enjoyable. Birdo's kick to win it was about his 10th most important kick of the night. When the Dogs forwards were exhausted in the second half, he told them just hold the ball and get me to the 30. Every time his kick was caught on the 10-metre line by the Sharks, after all their efforts smashing the Dogs on their line, they were the ones trucking it out of their end. It was a very well-managed game by Birdo in the end there when the game was on the line.
Yep.
He took the lead very, very well. That was it's not a career-defining game. It's not a best game he's ever played, but that was a step up, I think, in terms of his game management. Honestly,
Birdo, just get an agent and go to the NFL and make twice the money.
Yep.
For like a tenth of the fucking effort.
That's it.
0% of the contact on the body contact. I mean, you rarely get touched.
Yep.
I mean, if you get touched, I mean, it's a 15-yard penalty if someone touches you. Like it's that easy. Maybe you have to make a tackle now and then if a guy breaks away and you're the last line. And also, if you do that, that makes you an absolute fucking cult hero, because like the kickers are supposed to be the weakest dudes, and no physical contact whatsoever on them. And I remember like Falcons a couple of years ago had a kicker who used to like to drop the shoulder on guys if they got away, and people love that shit. I mean, you become the fucking most popular kicker in the entire fucking sport. All right, moving along to the Warriors smashed the Broncos over there in New Zealand.
I fucking told you, Nathan.
32-16.
I fucking told you. I told you we're the wounded scaffolder.
Jesus. Yeah, well, this one was like we also didn't know that for sure whether the Broncos were going to rest all those good players or not. And as it turns out, they did, and they weren't the only team to do that to great detraction from their chances of winning. And it's a really weird move from Kevin. I mean, I know it's like a long season, blah blah blah. Origin takes it out of players, etc., etc. But New Zealand is like one of the longer trips, but they fucking need the points.
Yeah,
they need the points on the ladder at the moment. Their run doesn't get very easy, and especially they're looking ahead. They got Penrith this week at home, but you can't just almost concede 2 points.
And if nothing else, just the momentum.
When you're not ensconced in the top four.
To try and get some momentum, which they've been severely lacking. But for the Warriors, obviously Johnson out and Tamara Martin stepped into his shoes and performed.
Fuck, he's just a joy to watch. Just an absolute fucking joy.
And, the uptick in his career is another positive for the Warriors over the last couple of seasons, and they needed to bounce back, and they certainly did that. But big concerns for where the Broncos are at.
Yep, you love to see it, because then they have to go. They have to come into a game against Penrith with players back, and they get smashed. They get smashed here. Then what? I mean, I haven't looked at the ladder, but I mean they're like sitting outside the 8 at this point.
Mm.
I'm sure, aren't they? They were before the round.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're in 10th at this point.
And there is such a logjam around them.
Yep.
Including, it's not a good position to be in. And it was an interesting one. Talking to a couple of Broncos fans, that's what they seem to think it came down to. That Kevy really, he was thinking as if he was in the same position he was in last year, where they were a top 4 side at this point of the year. And there was really nothing that dropping a game after Origin was going to do to affect their chances of being a top 4 side. Whereas this year, they're fighting to stay in the 8. And you need to change your coaching theories accordingly.
And we still have another Origin game to go as well. So
that's
the ones where you do have the opportunity to select all your players. I mean, maybe they got to buy next time. I haven't looked ahead, but you can't throw them away like that, especially when the Warriors are still kind of there to be taken.
They're vulnerable. And there were periods in this game where the Warriors started to get back into that error-ridden football that's been doing them in the last couple of weeks. Like Harris Tavita, who again had a very good game, had a couple of periods there where there were a couple of handling errors in a row and invited Brisbane back into it. The Broncos just didn't have the cattle to take advantage of it.
Yep.
What do we have to say on that? Do we have any comments? Or did I just close them? Jesus, I'm out of practice. I go away for a week. All of a sudden I forget how to use fucking Spacey Book. No, that's when all the drama was unfolding, so there's 9 million comments in front of it. There we are, Hammers.
Yeah.
The Titans really ended the Broncos season. Yes, they certainly did. Bennett taking from one of the greatest, I guess, time-appropriate signs that I've ever seen at the show. There was the Roger or Huck Tuivasa.
Yeah.
Spitting on that thing. Kevin, Broncos have no depth. Does that make us pretenders? I also wonder if our capitulation has something to do with Benny Eichen leaving. I kept hearing shit about Kevy not liking how much he'd get involved in stuff that was technically not his purview. Put their money on the wrong old boy. Interesting.
It's not like Benny Eichen was coaching them or anything. I mean, I still think Renault's the coach.
Well, look, there's that thing again. Like it's the thing at Penrith when Hook was there. All the talk was that Gus is coming down and coaching and overstepping and talking to the boys. You know,
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Next game.
All right, where are we up to here? Oh, a good one. The Eels on the bottom of the ladder still. Well, at that point. At that point anyway, Glennie. But we'll get to that. As the Knights got over the top of them, just thanks to a couple of Bradman Best intercept the length of the field tries at the very end. 34-26 they went down.
Para is fucked.
I said to some Parramatta fans, yeah, no, look, while I will shit on Parramatta for being shit, I did promise them a week of diplomatic immunity for their king, thanks to some extraordinary and stellar service in the war from Parramatta supporters. So I said that I'm going to lay off Gutho for the period of 1 week, and because speaking of Hock Tour, I Hock toured on Mitchie last week after the Origin, so yeah, there's no.
Here's the thing.
There.
Never have we ever spoken for each other on this show. So, whilst you may remain silent, my friend, no, let's be stand-up guys and keep to what you've promised us to.
Oh no, I didn't speak. I definitely didn't promise it for you guys, but I am kind of the biggest Parramatta hater and Gutho hater, just to, on account of the fact that with the. Definitely, right? Yeah. Surely.
No, 100% I agree. Yeah. I don't know why you needed to say kinda. Just, yes, you are the biggest Parramatta hater.
That's it.
All right.
It was a strange end to the game. It was a strange end to the game in a team who have built what successes they've had over the last little while at having composure in key moments in the game.
But the thing that's got them down the bottom this year is the fact that they generally are pretty good in like the first sort of 40, 50, 60 minutes of games, but they're one of the worst teams in the comp in that sort of final 20, 30 minutes of games.
Yeah.
And again, exactly the same thing again. I mean, they were narrowly ahead going into half time. They were in the game pretty much the whole. I mean, like even that last try. I mean, it was 28-26 or something, and they were pushing, trying to, jag the win at the end, and then the intercept happened, and that was that.
That's
and
it.
Blew it out, to the final.
Para haven't won away from home all year. Not one game. 0-7.
Yeah.
That's a damning stat.
A team that
they do get full service blown at Combank though. Like, especially when Peter Goff's a referee, which is weird because it's like he forgot who he went for in this game.
Jesus fucking Christ! It's I said it when I was doing the mid-season review with for Newcastle. Bradman Best is so clearly the most important attacking piece of that side. The threat he poses every time he has the ball, the effort he puts into the game, but again, not just in offense. The fact that he saves it for both sides of the field as well. You never ever want to say it comes down to one player, but he was absolutely instrumental in how that game turned out for Newcastle.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like it was a successful debut for Will Price, who, I know that their fans have been, screaming out for him to be elevated to first grade all season. He's kind of been in reserve grade, learning, I guess, learning how to play Australia, and it turned out, it was great. I mean, when you've been, going with a halves combination like with Cogger and Hastings and that kind of creative sort of output to get a good player in there. I mean, he's got a try in his debut, all round great game.
Yep.
And look, I think he's probably got his spot now.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Very, or very, probably later than a lot of Newcastle fans would have liked.
Although, Knights can be choppy and changey on
especially
who they fucking want to select. Yeah.
Yeah.
Often to their detriment.
Does that spell the end of...
Well, this is the thing, okay? So he had a great game this week.
Yeah.
So spell the end of who? Yeah, well, I mean, he was he was third, right? At the moment, like as of last week before this game, he was third behind Hastings and Cogger. And so then Cogger had his chance. It didn't work. I actually would have thought that Hastings would be the one to go. And then
it was certainly looking like that
but,
a couple of weeks ago. Not for the last little bit at Newcastle that Jackson Hastings seemed to have worn out his welcome there, as he's looks to do throughout his career. But no reason to drop price, and I reckon they ride it out and see what sort of combination he can build with Hastings.
Yeah, and then you've got what's his face coming back in? Soft shell crabs coming back in this week.
Yep.
Is it? So I guess I'll see how that fits together as well. And I guess that's your settled back line, or your settled spine for the Knights going forward. Unless they lose a game and then O'Brien decides to rip a piece out and throw another one in just to see what happens. But yeah, they're getting close to their final form.
There you go.
Eels, I can't remember the figures. They came across my socials yesterday that Trent Barrett's coaching record is getting increasingly horrific. like fucking horrific. Like we're down to 20% sort of level now in terms of wins.
Yeah, fuck.
And he's won look, I don't know if this number's correct, but it feels like 6 out of his last 40 or something thereabouts.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, let's hope he gets the job. Let's hope he's shown the boys enough.
Pays to have connections,
there we
go. To get the job going forward.
There we go.
Yeah, friends in the media. Fantastic.
Daniel,
socials
came out best by name, best by nature. And then it was, Knights fans essentially just making different parodies of Bradman best name. Stuart came out and he said, interviewer, Mitchell, what did you like most about Origin? Moses, not playing with Gutho. Nathan, this Eels team needs a professional coach. Danny, good game, but fuck me, the bunker is a picky bastard. Nice to see Price score on debut and Parry give up 2 tries in the end in that style. Onwards and upwards. There we go.
Right, the Storms had a win over the Raiders down at the Korean Housewife, 16 points to 6. And look, the conditions not incredible, and it was a pretty ugly, sloppy kind of a game.
Yep.
And Melbourne, good enough. Because the one thing, I mean, while it was a close game and a sloppy game, it's like it also never felt like a game that Melbourne were going to lose either.
Yeah. And Canberra's stacking those type of games up at the moment. The wheels have all but fallen off Canberra, and they're entering into a bit of a period of time. Again, we always say Ricky's forever safe, right? But they've had some they've had some injuries and like most clubs, but just the level of disinterest that they exhibit on the field, especially when things get tough. They need to turn it around this back half of the season, but I don't know who does it. It's not, Rapin's not that guy. Papali'i's been out of sorts. The halves are young. It's a tough one.
Yep.
I think that's the thing. They have too many players in too many positions where it's, they'll kind of get the job done, maybe, or what will they actually get done?
Yeah.
And Rapana for a prime example.
I think they've got elements of skill, but they haven't got that, enough, structure to, when they can actually try and get back into a game and get into a grind. There's too many mistakes in them. They're undisciplined. Just the lack of structure, which probably comes down to the fact you've got Rapiner at 1 and then young halves. And unsettled at 9. I know, they've had run a few options out over the course of the season. It's tough to get any continuity and give young halves the best opportunity to succeed when when that's your spine.
Yep.
Grover.
Give us the socials.
The Raiders should be charged with grade run impersonating rugby league players. Great defensive effort from them, but atrocious when they actually had the ball in their hands. Xavier Savage was more of a Xavier mild displeasure tonight. Also, I can't remember so many HIAs in one game. Interesting. There were a lot, but I didn't think it was egregious.
Yeah,
Didn't really dawn on me.
Didn't stick out to me at all.
Yeah, that's it. John, Canberra, love them. They're the one team that can drag a top 8 side down to their level.
Yeah, but that only works if it actually grabbed the win afterward.
Yeah, that is true. That is very, very true. Well, maybe that's what he's saying. Maybe to drag them down to their level of. But Canberra will ultimately be the shittest. Who knows? We don't try and understand these things.
No.
Next game.
Dragons smash the Dolphins 26-6 down at Netstrata Jubilee Stadium. And this one narrowly to the Dolphins at half time, but the second half, all Dragons.
Yeah, this is
and for once, the Dolphins without a lot of answers.
Tough watch,
really.
If you're a Dolphins fan, there's one team that always seems to be in a fucking game, except this one. And
yeah,
I think Dragons, took their opportunities and closed.
The amount of possession, the amount of possession and penalties and mistakes on the Dolphin side that they made, they gave themselves zero chance to mount anything in that second half.
Yeah, I guess they scored via Tessie New just before half time, and it was a pretty dour grind back and forth kind of game, as a 6-0 half-time scoreline would indicate. Then the Dragons were good enough to come out just after half-time and score, and then put 4 tries on in the space of 15 minutes and just completely blew the game wide open.
Yep.
The Dolphins couldn't find a way back into it, and the Dragons were good enough to hold on and close it out.
Yep. I got nothing else to say about
No,
it.
not at all. You've hit it spot on, Glennie. Simon, ridiculous amount of 6 agains for little reason has blown this game out. Ash,
Look, that's every game.
Diluting the talent
Worst rule.
in Queensland across 4 teams seem to be doing the trick. Are you anti-6 again?
Yeah, I am. Just the more I watch it, the more I think it's just one of those. It's just the rule that is so subjective, and if you went through every single play the ball in a game, you could probably find reasons why the ones that were given shouldn't have been given, and ones that weren't given should have been given.
So hang on, can we be very specific
Because
here? That you don't have an issue with
Yep.
the 6 again rule. You have an issue with the way infringements are being officiated.
Yeah, I think the way that rule is being officiated, because it's so inconsistent. There's so many opportunities where you think someone should have got one then, or they didn't get one, or someone got one and it wasn't, or they got multiple ones when there wasn't really anything in it. And it's a game that referees can use. Remember how they talk about it's a game of 2 halves, and if the team can get an even shake of the ball in the second half, they can get there's nothing fucking scientific about a game that says that just because a team got fucking had 60% of possession in the first half, that's going to even up over the course of the game.
That's it. I get that.
That says that.
I get that, but do you have an issue with
the 6 again rule? It actually can be. It can be manipulated to happen that way, because it's very easy for a referee to completely change the flow of a game on the fly just by the way that they do and don't throw 6 agains in.
But again, are you saying that it's the actual 6 again? You'd be okay with the way things are officiated currently, as long as there was a penalty given, there was a stoppage, and the ball was kicked and play resumed. So is it the officiating of the infringements, or is it the 6 again in lieu of a penalty that you don't like?
Both. If you can't get one right, do it the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Interesting.
Because then it's not as much. There's not as much of a swing of the game.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And I guess it's also like a situation where I just don't trust the quality of the officiating enough with the rule.
Yeah, okay.
I just don't feel like they're good enough to actually adjudicate it correctly. And so I feel they get caught up in, especially when you get some of those main characters, you know who I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
Where they just decide, I'm going to fucking impose my will on this contest. The game's flowing too well. The crowd are enjoying the action too much. So they forgot, I'm here. I'm going to have to fucking remind these guys who the fucking boss is in charge in the middle of the game.
Yep. Nice. Okay, next game.
Okay, what we got here? The Cowboys with the upset over the Panthers at home, 16 points to 6. Cowboys without Origin players, Panthers without Origin players. And here's my hot take of the week. The North Queensland Cowboys Origin players fucking suck. And are to the detriment of the North Queensland Cowboys club side.
Well,
look at the fucking game tape. Look at the game tape. Some of these young guys that haven't cashed in their big back row money, and they put it to them. Their defensive scramble in this game was fucking something. Because when we're talking about the adjudication and the way that 6 agains and things are given, there was a period there just before half time where it was clear that Liam Kennedy decided that the Panthers are going to score a try under any circumstances, by any means necessary, and the fucking sin bins, the 6 agains and the penalties, and they must have had about 68,000 tackles in a row. I don't care
if you have to score against 7 men, you're going to score.
At their line. I'm just going to keep fucking binning them until you get across the line. And look, let's be clear. I mean, it's like some of those. I mean, the Cowboys on their part were kind of they were kind of taking advantage to an extent where they were sort of infringing because they were absolutely fucking rooted, just through the deluge. But despite that, they got away with it. They overcame the situations without the guys. And the damage was minimal. It was just that one try there, just leading up to half time, and they managed to close it out despite being on the wrong side of the crowd, the wrong side of the penalty count, and probably the wrong side of every statistic as well, I'd imagine.
It was a great performance by the Cowboys. Taking it away, though, that was one of the poorer understudy half performances, and we've seen a lot of them recently, over the recent couple of years from Penrith, whether it was Romy that was injured or Cleary that couldn't get his stuff done. But old mate Schneider did not have a happy night. And
the first crack in the system that we've maybe ever seen.
Yeah, that's it. Well, and, look... he
didn't play like Cleary this time.
You're dealing with the double whammy here of, you're right, he's not Cleary, but he also was missing all of the other guys that make not being Cleary okay. So he didn't have Ed was there. He didn't have, he had Yowie there, but he was backing up after a big performance. He didn't have Luai to defer to. So not only is he not Cleary, but he's expected to be not Cleary and be the main guy.
Yeah.
So I don't.
And again, Laurie looked excellent.
Laurie did look excellent. He had a good game. I'm glad we did get a sin bin for the trip, and I'm glad we are starting to see that shit come back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, as far as trips go, that certainly wasn't the crime of the century. That was one of those ones where the guy's just clearly, so badly, wrong-footed that he's sort of, doing the splits and as it is, you know what I mean?
Well, he stuck his foot out as Dino was going for the try line.
Yeah.
So, but it just came down to the fact that Penrith didn't have suitable fifth tackle options for most of that game and never put themselves in a position to really win that territorial battle. And that's their entire game plan. We will win the territorial battle with you over 80 minutes. There won't be a way that you can get around that. And the Cowboys had a way around it.
Yep.
What do we have
And
on
also
socials?
Taruva and Tungo again. Fuck,
Yeah,
we get a problem.
that's
any
it.
Any side that's got half a brain is going to absolutely destroy them.
You'd feel sorry for any team that's taking either of those next year.
Still,
You would, wouldn't you?
still be an
Just absolutely
improvement over
terrible.
the existing options.
Especially paying them like fullback money.
Not
so.
if they're an improvement
it.
over existing options.
Oh, Jesus. Graham, Tugger
You don't
can
have
fuck
Moffat
off
anymore, mate.
with his... No, he ran out in reserve grade.
No.
Well, not even
Footy.
reserve grade. It was like the glebe dirty
The,
reds.
the, the
Yeah, it's
reserve
like It's
reserve.
a park. It's the park. He was at the park. Where they had a
Tugger can
playing
fuck off
competition.
with his mate May. He's been shit for over a year now. Danny, better lose this one now than in the finals. Get it out of your system and move on. Carsten, the Cowboys have a better reserve grade side than the Panthers. There you go. The one sensible Cowboys fan. Next
That's it?
game. Yep.
Okay, Glennie, it's your time to shine. The Roosters 40 defeated the Tigers 6, and the only saving grace was that the Tigers managed to save themselves from the sacred scoreline right at the end. But this was a quality performance from the Roosters.
Look, in the Tigers' defence, the Tigers did not play any of their state of origin
exactly
players.
it. We were behind the eight ball.
Well,
Absolutely
this
behind
is
the
true.
eight ball.
And this, and you've got to say after some encouraging pair of wins back to back, particularly last week, the way that they sort of ran roughshod over the Raiders in the second half, this was a massive step back for the Tigers in terms like the creativity. This reminded me of one of those fucking who was the coach of the Doggies
Dean Pay.
before Trent? Like this, yeah. This was one of those super high completions. Like there was a time where both of these sides were completing in the mid 90% in the range, and where they're super high completions, they got themselves into good field position where they were attacking the line, but you could just tell that they were never going to score. Like there was nothing threatening about anything that they did. They were just going side to side to side to side to side with no chance of the actual a try being scored. Roosters would have been super comfortable. They didn't even sort of have to go into the Roosters mode where like constant infringements and everything just concede the penalty or whatever rather than the try. They didn't have to do that. It was just there for them so easily. And when they had their opportunities though, I mean some early tries to Dominic Young, and decent game from Teddy. And it was basically
It was too easy.
were
It was too
unheaded.
easy.
Yeah.
Look, disappointing. It's always tough to come back from 2 weeks of talking mad shit when your team's won 2 games in a row, and they get really should have been 40. Really should have been 40 now.
I believe it is my understanding.
You understand nothing.
Not a quote that you invented, but it is my understanding you said that the West Tigers may never lose
Maybe
again.
I wasn't silly enough to say we would never lose again. It was I left wiggle room.
Well, you did say may. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, May. When has the word may ever gone badly in rugby league?
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway,
Yeah. You say may 3 times in quick succession, and you invoke some
correct.
slut getting
And
booted.
in this game, it was the West Tigers.
On this occasion, it was you.
No, we were bad. We need to be a lot better than that. But clearly, not on the same level as the Roosters. I'm as shocked as you are, but 40 really should have been 40-0.
Yeah, but look, as much as I would love to have given it to you for the 40-0 thing, I mean, I also like the sacred scoreline being the sacred scoreline as well. So, it's a knock on the Roosters that they couldn't do that. Honestly. Anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. Any hope? Anything else to say about them?
It was.
They were really fucking disappointing.
It was a tough watch, but you just have to sit there and take your medicine, and maybe throw your phone across the room.
Do you think it is? Do you think that? Remember what I said to you last week when I was like, you're sort of bubbling along on this wave of youth and, like a sort of a YOLOing style of play where you're taking opportunities, you're playing what they see. You brought some old ones back in there, and I'm talking about Bateman. And then all of a sudden, here we are. The classic 40-6 Tigers.
Look, you can't
2 years in a
blame
row.
him, but I said it last week.
I'm going to.
You will, because that's the type of person you are. But I don't hate the idea or the philosophy to just play the kids for the rest of the year. I think you get a lot more out of that than giving Bateman and people like that another, 10 games in first grade or whatever to achieve the same fucking abysmal results that he's delivered for the most part of his tenure at the Tigers, when you can actually blood kids and give them some first grade experience and, back it up with a full off season and let them come out next year. So, but hey, what the fuck do I know?
I was disappointed, Glennie. Like you guys obviously had the rough week with all of the things with, are we going to lose our 6? He wants out. Does this, and he's come through and no, I'm a Tiger for the period of this contract and everything's rosy. I was disappointed that you didn't take the opportunity, or they didn't take the opportunity to really actually step up and go, well, no, we've got the opportunity for a statement game here.
Well, they made it. They did.
How did you feel about that? Jesus.
They made a fucking statement, all right. I will say it's a testament to how ill you must have been this past week that you haven't pointed out the absolute cuck behaviour of the Tigers rather, to allow Stefano to test his worth on the open market and leave an offer sitting on the table for him to come back to if he doesn't get any better offers. I was expecting it.
This is the thing.
And it deserves it.
In all honesty,
to be honest, I was disappointed.
He's talking about getting these 4 and 5 year deals for $900,000 a season. There's no fucking way he's worth that.
No, there's not.
No way. I mean, maybe the prop market is like a premium market at the moment, but he's not. Would you compare him to someone who I would consider like a top tier prop in the game, like someone like Fanua Blake? He's like half of the money.
Yeah.
I just can't understand. I can't believe that there's a market for him at that.
Well, I just think if you look at someone like Fisher Harris, who I would say is the best prop in the game, right?
Yeah.
By a fair margin.
Yeah, also twice as good. Yep.
The disparity in his wage.
Look at his outlook. I mean, like Samuel Afenu is better than him.
That's fair. But the disparity in his wage should reflect, what both those players bring to their respective tables. And Stefano has had a handful of reasonable games this year, and he has had some absolute fucking howlers where he's had low single-digit carries for less than 60 or 70 metres in a game of in a first grade game where he is a starting and primary prop. Just not even close to fucking good enough. Not even close to good enough.
Nope.
And if his agent can get him that money somewhere else, fucking be my guest.
Yeah.
Look,
I think you'll be coming back to get your offer unless he decides he wants to take less to go to a side that he perceives to be, an immediate.
But the ignorance to think that he is going to be the guy that helps them do that. Oh, I can go to a winner.
Oh yeah, I don't think that comes into thought process. Yeah,
I'm going to go to a winner and I'm going to take my 5 runs for 64 metres over to this potentially premiership winning side, and I'm going to be the guy. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I don't think he has that moment where I think I'm going to be the guy. I think it's just like these guys are closer to winning the premiership than
and
these
I can
guys.
attach myself to it, and
yeah. I don't think he's, it's necessarily like because like you're saying, like if he's getting like obviously you're hyperbolic like on the low side. I mean, but it's the same thing. If he's doing low runs for low output in half of his games, then
no,
he's not the guy. He's not going to be the guy for anyone.
No.
So yeah, I think he'll be back.
And we're going to leave that fucking offer on the table.
There you go.
And he's going to take it, and so we're probably going to give him an extra several $100,000 for 6 runs and
that's the issue.
70 metres. Fucking bang up.
You essentially send him out there with a shopping list for other clubs to say, no, you're not worth that. And he goes back and instantly you've paid overs for him. You're right. It's not good
fucking
business.
Horrible. Yeah, I mean, is anyone shocked?
Anyway.
I'm not.
No, not at all.
No. Well, look, at the end of the day, I mean, it's the way it works. I mean, like clubs, cut players. Players have short careers. They need to, earn as much money as they can in their short careers. And if there are people going to pay it to him, then, I mean, his agent, regardless of rules around negotiating and things like that, I mean, his agent knows exactly what dollars, the dollars that are out there potentially for him at clubs other than the West Tigers. So,
yeah, fair.
They don't make these numbers up out of nowhere,
No, not at all.
All right. Anyway, moving ahead to the next round. Yep, for round 18 of the NRL 2024 season. Dolphins with a bye. The first game of Thursday night with the Eels taking on the Rabbits. It's a battle of the bottom.
Oof.
With the Eels going without Mike Acevo. Jake Tungo to the wing. Bunch of other names are coming in, but importantly, they have their spine intact with Brendan Hands at 9, as I think Eels fans would like to see. The Rabbits slowly getting their shit together. I think are very, very ably assisted by the fact that their poor early season meant that they are going through Origin with probably their best lineups that they've had in Origin for like the last half a dozen, 10 years, something like that.
Yeah.
They lose Latrell, but I mean then they have like Australian and Origin level, Whiten, Cody, Cookie, all there to keep the ship running. So I expect the Rabbits to continue with their uptick. I mean, they welcome back Latrell this week after being off for Origin in their last game. Cam Murray comes back as well. So I think it's funny because the Eels have had since Moses came back from injury and Garthar, I suppose to a lesser extent, they have definitely increased the baseline of their performances.
Yeah, they have.
And some wins and losses in there, but I mean the baseline has certainly risen. Rabbits, on the other hand, though, they've been pretty good lately. They're on a little bit of a roll, and look, I expect to see him.
Yeah, I think South's form is starting to set itself as you put it, their baseline, and it's increasing at a rapid rate of knots. Latrell's starting to fire. Whiten's finding his feet. And settling into that side, Walker slowly getting back to his best.
It took him so long to just say. It took him so long just to finally. It's almost like they had to concede. Fuck it, we'll put Whiten in the halves. I mean, they kind of persisted with him in the centres for so long, and then shock horror when they get some stability, put him in the halves, get him the ball a little bit earlier. And, things are starting to happen.
Yep, that's it. Souths,
exactly.
Easy. Let's go.
All right. Okay, next one. We are going to Coffs Harbour.
What could possibly go wrong?
The Sharks taking on the Titans. Well, what could possibly go wrong? The Dogs aren't going there. That's a positive. And but I mean, who doesn't get up to some? We need to send a team that doesn't get up to any mischief when they're on their seaside matches. Oh shit! Here come the Sharks. So, look, I think the Sharks will get back on track against the Titans. Titans aren't good. And as much as the Sharkies in a bit of a rough patch, I mean, if there's ever a game for Nico to get himself back on track,
yeah, it's an opportunity.
Even if it does emerge as a bit of a shootout, I think that it's probably going to be the Sharks. I mean, the Titans do welcome Brimson back into the side, and he's going to slot in the 6.
Yep.
I'm going to go the upset. The Sharks are really disappointing me. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Brimson back at 6, partnering Foran. Young Kenny in the 1.
Yep.
And it's not at Shark Park either. So, yeah,
I'm
going to go the Titans in an upset.
Glennie, okay.
Yeah, Shark Park would almost make the Titans even more of a chance, though. That'd be fucking horrible at home lately. Look, I hope you're right, Glennie, but I think Sharks are going to win. The Broncos take on the Panthers on Friday night at Lang Park, Suncorp Stadium. I'm going to this game. I've got a nephew come up from Armidale, and one of his birthday wishes is to go to the footy, and just due to the nature of the draw and where all the Queensland teams are this weekend, the Dolphins have a bye and the Titans down in Coffs Harbour. This is the game. And so we'll be going into this one, and I expect to see the Panthers absolutely butt-fucking the Broncos. And much to my enjoyment, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can't see any other result.
I really can't see any other results of this game. I don't understand why the odds are as close as they are.
It's because we've spoken about this before. There's these things in sport where no matter how either of the teams are travelling, no matter what the form tells you, no matter what injuries and team lists and all of this says, the Broncos always go up 2 gears against the Panthers in Brisbane. Every single time. It doesn't matter how either of the teams are trained. It's not enough that you would say that they are our bogey side, because sometimes they beat us, sometimes they won't. But form has very little to do with these games. They will always go up against us. And the result of the grand final last year just gives them extra motivation. This one will be a lot closer than people think.
The Broncos are boosted, of course, by injuries to Jet Ski and Fletcher Baker. I think Jet Ski might have broke his arm last week. And what else happens here? I believe they lost Katoni Staggs, didn't they?
Yep.
Through the week. He's in the 22 jersey for some reason, but I think I heard that he's actually injured and won't be playing this game under any circumstances. I'm not sure why he's in the 22, but unless it was just because he was that much of a chance of not making the game. I mean, like they're obviously not. They're not dropping Katoni Staggs, so they can move Dean Mariner into the centres at all. Yeah, look, I think the Panthers are going to win this one very comfortably.
Agreed.
Next up, we have the Doggies versus the Warriors at Accor Stadium, and both sides cut off decent wins last week, but the Doggies defence to rule the day again, in my opinion. And while I don't think they can beat the Warriors in a shootout, if it turns out to be that kind of game, I just think that I think the Doggies have got enough to cover whatever the Warriors are going to throw their way as far as attack's concerned, and that'll get them most of the way there.
Yeah, I think the Warriors, whilst they bounced back to a certain extent last week, I think that had something to do with their opposition, and the Dogs are starting to find their rhythm, and I think they'll be too strong for the Warriors.
Yep.
And no Sean Johnson for the Warriors, and as you know, he's the bad luck voodoo doll for the side, and his presence almost guarantees an L at this point. Certainly on the evidence of the last 2.5 months. So yeah, Doggies again. And look, I got my history with the Doggies, but I find myself tipping them more and more.
They are. Have they reached that stage where they have turned over enough of who they were that you can, happily tip them in a game?
Yeah, well, I mean, also the Warriors have fallen so hard this year.
Yeah, it is.
In my estimation as well. So I'm very happy to tip against those guys too. But yeah, look, like I said, like the Warriors, I mean, if they can find a way to score bulk points, I do think that there is a level, I do think there is a total that they can reach, which is outside of the capability of what the Dogs can score. I mean, because their attack is not fully firing. I mean, they're a very defensive-based side. But I think that the Doggies' defence will do enough to get them there.
There you go.
Glennie, the big one for you. The Lilyfield Rectangle welcomes the West Tigers home, taking on the Melbourne Storms.
Look,
what
Leichhardt
West
Oval,
Tigers have in store?
We all know what happens at Leichhardt Oval when the Tigers play there. So I think that's all that needs to be said.
Remind me?
Big button?
Remind me, players who outstayed their welcome drink beers on the scoreboard. Is that what you're alluding
That's
to?
part of it. Teen pregnancies in the car park. Drunk cunts sitting on their roofs.
Do you expect Bud Sullivan to be drinking on the scoreboard?
Oh, please. Oh, please. I expect
he
Bud
fits the
Sullivan
bill,
to
a player that's
be
outstayed his
drinking.
welcome.
Oh, my. Wow.
Ouch.
Wow.
Fucking ouch.
The presence of Charlie Staines on the wing, in place of with Alamalo on the reserves bench, and then you got Kit Lily also sitting on the reserves bench, and John Bateman in the 11, who'll be expected to defend edge runners from Melbourne such as Sean Bloor and Ellie Katoa. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, there's some potential damage.
The whole procession of Panthers wingers to the Tigers, and the promise and hope that they bring with them. Remember when Charlie Staines used to be someone?
Really? Was he?
It does.
Ferrari, they called him.
It does bring up that thing of just the Tigers' MO for the last little while has just been to be the Aldi Penrith Panthers. So,
or the Timu Penrith Panthers.
Yeah,
nasty.
Yeah, the Aldi ones, that implies that there's like, there's a lot of quality there. You just haven't heard of the players, and they look similar to the Panthers ones, but you haven't heard. They got different names, but they're all right. They're pretty good, and they certainly cost less. But the Timu ones are literally facsimiles made in sweatshops.
Nasty.
They fucking suck.
Okay, so how many did Melbourne win by?
Okay.
I think the Tigers still win. Let's not get carried away.
Jesus.
22 points to the Melbourne Storm.
13-0 to the Tigers.
Yeah, okay.
13-0. If you're going to say something, why do you say something so fucking cracked out?
There you go.
We'll fucking see.
Like, is that a scoreline that's ever happened in the history of rugby league?
It's about to. Put your money on it. The more you put on, the more you get back. I'm Glenn Blakely from Glenn Blakely's Gambling Advice.
Yeah, think of the shit that you could buy with that money.
Better friends, more self-esteem.
A lobotomy. The Cowboys take on the mighty Manly Sea Eagles up at the abattoir in Townsville, North Queensland. Welcome back all of the previously aforementioned mid-origin representative players. The likes of Val Holmes, Murray Taulagi, Tom Dearden, Reece Robson, who was actually great, Nanai and Ruben Cotter. Manly side, Tommy Turbo comes back in the centres. Bit of ducks and drakes in terms of where players are going to line up. They've got him in the 3 at the moment. From what I've seen, what I've managed to deduce from training videos and things like that through the week, I believe he's going to be outside of Daly, so we're going to have on that side, it'll be Hamoli, Daly, and Tommy, and then I guess Jason Saab on the wing. This then moves Ruben Garrick. Does he move to the other centre? Does he move to the other wing? Does Tommy Talau come into centres? Cole has been named at fullback, but is he really going to be fullback, or is he going to be centre? Because then you've got Lehigh Hopewadi in 14, so which is like great fucking player. I love having him in the side, but it's pretty light bench as it is anyway. And do you want to have a second hooker there, even though Simpkins proven that he can go 80 minutes no problem. Who fucking knows? But one thing I do know is that something that Glennie says a lot when the Tigers play North Queensland is that, we always win, and particularly up there, he's like, we always win up there. What I have noticed is that Manly actually do always win up in Townsville, as well. It's not just a catchy meme or wishful thinking. It actually happens, and this is a big test, and this is one that they need to win. And I just think that whoever the poor fuck is, if it's Dearden and it's on that side, the left hand side defence of the Cowboys, having to deal with Hamoli, Daly, and Tommy is absolute fucking nightmare matchup. And may God have mercy on your soul as Manly stroll to a 13 plus and potentially as many as 40 plus point victory.
It's a fucking big call.
There you go.
Do you disagree though, Glennie? That's the question.
No, I think Manly will win. I'm actually interested to see how Tom goes in his return. Hopefully gets through unscathed and can, put together a solid back end of the season. And
I reckon they'll probably put him back a bit. I reckon he'll be back in fullback. I reckon he'll be back at fullback in time for the end of the season. I reckon it's more just a way of easing him through. I don't know what the analytics look like. I'd love to actually see, GPS data and all that sort of thing from a game, just to see how much ground centers cover versus fullbacks and that sort of thing. I mean, fullbacks obviously do have those periods where they're just sort of uninterrupted run backs, where the time between scooping up the ball and meeting the defence on that first tackle.
Yep.
But I wonder how over the course of an entire game, just with the back and forward and retreating the 10 metres, I just wonder how much of a difference it really is. I'd love to see some numbers around that, but I feel that Tommy smashes himself in weird cover defending situations, trying to take a guy out over the corner and that sort of thing. That seems to be when a lot of the weird injuries happen. So if he's just defending front on as a centre, then I think that alone removes a hell of a lot of it out of the equation. So we shall see. And we saw him get the player of the series in the Origin when he was in in that exact same position as well. So if he can perform to that level, then it's going to be for the side anyway.
Yeah, that's it.
Fuck the Cowboys.
Roosters, Dragons. Oh, word. I agree with you. The first time probably tonight, maybe. The Roosters take on the Dragons. This is a big game. Two teams, with a semblance of form to them, I guess.
Yep.
The Roosters starting to, put it together the way that people would have expected them to at the start of the season. And the Dragons doing that thing where, they win some, they lose some, and you never quite know what you're going to get week on week. But Joey Manu, with his injury, what happened to him last week? Did it end up being like a broken hand? Or
they were talking it was a broken wrist. I don't know what the final
wrist was.
diagnosis was, but
Nasty.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's hard to tell sometimes with him whether he's just where he's foxing on the field. He still has the all-time GOAT move that time.
That
he
was
sort of faked
phenomenal.
that hamstring
That
injury
was
and then went through
great.
and scored that try. I think that was against the Dragons too. Actually, now you mention it. So look, it's really. I mean, look, we know what the Roosters can do now. I expect them to continue doing the same thing. Sure, I don't love Tupanua out there in the centres as a replacement.
No.
But I don't love anything about the Dragons lineup, to be honest. But I mean, Sloane's great, give him some space. Lomax is having his career season and continues to do so. Ben Hunt's obviously as solid as it gets. I think Kyle Flanagan's extremely limited. Finai and Tuipulotu are very limited as well.
The Roosters' ceiling is far higher than the Dragons.
Yeah, I just think the Roosters got the forwards to smash them. With the only real standout for me in the Dragons is Jaden Sewer, who I think has been great all season, great in Origin as well. I think the Roosters have got them covered.
I think the Roosters get them through the middle, as you say. The Dragons are doing enough through the back line with Lomax and Sloane with a bit of space, and I think you probably left out Moses Suli as well, who's having his best season of his career. But in order for them to do their thing, the Dragons would have to get the ascendancy through the middle, and I just don't think they've got that in them against the Roosters.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where it's won.
I think they're probably the shortest price favourites of the round as well, in a game where the top team's playing the West Tigers.
Oof.
Who are the bottom team officially?
You've already
Thanks to
mentioned
not
that,
being able to fucking defend. That was the main thing. That was the main thing we were watching. I remember the scoreline was about maybe it was 20-0, like after half time or whatever, and my missus is just like, oof, thinking about you. Just like, well, that's not good. I said they're not last yet though. All we got to do, what we're hoping for here, is they can just keep the margin below like 26 or whatever it happened to be. Like it was 24, yeah. 26 or something like that. They've just got to keep the margin under that. And she's just like,
it's 20-0 at half time, Nathan. Do you know nothing about rugby league?
And I'm like, look, they haven't been bad lately. I've got hope that they're going to come back in the second half and make a game. But she's like, yeah, nah. And then she mentioned she'd seen you you were chirping on Facebook and stuff about how well the Tigers were going and things like that. And I'm like, yeah,
he does that.
That's what he does. That's what Glennie does. Okay, the Raiders take on the Knights in Canberra, and Knights narrow favourites in this one, as they probably should be, as they have been displaying reasonable level. Form. Once again, talking back at baselines for teams, their baseline has been better. I mean, they've had they've win some, lose some, but they haven't really disgraced themselves since Calvin Pong was out. But he returns, so will he be like the Sean Johnson of the Knights and plummet them back down into their winless start of the season that they had when he was in the side?
Who knows?
Not against Canberra. I think Newcastle will be too good. The form that. Or lack thereof that Canberra have been in, even despite the fact they're playing at home. I expect Newcastle to win.
Yeah, some more shuffles from Canberra as well. Like they bring in Adam Cook into halfback, and they drop KO Weeks back to fullback, which moves Rapin into the wing, which is probably a better position for him. I mean, definitely. I think that. Look. There are times where he plays an all-time game out of fullback, but then there's games where he just gets absolutely fucking exposed.
Those games might be 1 in 10, but then you've got 6 in 10 where he's having fucking howlers.
Yeah, that's
exposed, getting binned. Exactly. So I guess, look, this is the one thing that KO Weeks has demonstrated. I mean, I've seen some Manly fans going, "Oh yeah, why we let him go?" I mean, well, because you fucking can't keep them all, and you've got the Queensland fucking halfbackers. I mean, if he wants to play halfback, you're fucking waiting, or you're going somewhere else. And if you're waiting, your manager's agitating for you to go somewhere else because, I mean, they want their 6% to be, several $1,000s more than what it is playing reserve grade.
Yep.
So look, now he's at fullback. I think that position. While I don't recall him being incredible under the high ball, he was training to be like an understudy for Turbo back in the day, and certainly having a bit more space to move and to take advantage of his speed is probably a good thing for him in terms of attack. Look, I don't think Canberra are necessarily out of this game. I don't think the Knights aren't that great. I think there's a lot of stock goes into the Knights each week based on how they went the week before and whether AOB really tinkers with that a lot.
Too much. Yeah, that's it.
So, Brayley comes in for Crossland, who's out. Ponga comes back in at fullback. Yeah. I don't know. This is a real mid game of the round for me, being honest.
I'm going to give it to Newcastle, just based on the quality they got in their outside backs. I said it before. Best is instrumental to them. Ponga's back, and he'll be looking to make an impact.
Yeah, big Ponga fan, you.
I am, but let me ask you: how much do you think Ponga is now looking at an Origin jersey? Based on the talk around Reece Walsh getting dropped.
They're not going to drop Reece Walsh, are they?
There have been murmurings by some of the talking heads, and bearing in mind that almost everything that those dumb cunts do is just pure clickbait.
Queensland, their entire fucking thing is not dropping people.
Mm.
And also, remember, Reece Walsh got knocked out of the first game in the first 5 minutes, and the second game, like, it wasn't like he didn't do the things in attack that he does for the Brisbane Broncos much, but it wasn't like he was the guy that was dropping off the tackles. That if you're going to drop somebody based strictly on their performance, you go, okay, Queensland in attack had no ball. So, and their forwards got absolutely pounded. So maybe they didn't really have a lot of options as far as how much damage they could do.
Suggesting
so you look at the areas where they were poor, and you go, okay, Dearden's the one getting dropped because that guy he was a fucking highway all night.
I'm not suggesting that Walsh is the right one to drop. I'm saying, does the talk around dropping Reece Walsh, lead Kalen Ponga to have an outstanding game this week?
No.
I think he would probably think so, but I think if Walsh gets dropped, they put Hammer to 1 and fucking.
Yeah, I also think the way that he compartmentalised things last year when he was injured for the first one and he was kind of eligible for the rest of them, but he pointedly said, "No, I'm focusing on
Newcastle."
The Knights, yeah. I mean, I'm making myself unavailable for the rest of the series. So I think he has the ability to, put these things in their correct places and focus on where it needs to be focused.
Yeah,
I think if his motivation to play an amazing game is just
he's
because
been out
he hasn't played for he hasn't played for 3 months and wants to win.
Yep.
For Newcastle.
Fair.
There you go.
So, but look, if Reece Walsh got dropped, it'd be fucking hilarious. Don't let me think that I'm against this at all. I'm just saying I think it's highly unlikely. Anyway, so was that last game?
That's Newcastle. There we go.
High on crack. It was.
Yes and yes.
That cool, clean taste. Like menthol cigarettes. Anything you want to add, fellas, before we fucking pull a pin on this thing?
No.
Not at all.
That's it for me.
That's it for me. Oh, and I am going to start pumping out the mid-season things this week on the main feed. I'll drop one a day if I remember to set it up that way. If you are a Patreon, you've had access to the bulk of them for probably a good fortnight now, and some more of them went up last Thursday or Friday. I think that was probably the last of them. Are there any ones that you were intending on doing that you haven't done yet?
The only one who has dogged
was there
the
one
boys,
team missing?
There was one who has dogged the boys, and I'll let you guess who that was.
Yeah, it's would it be the team with the player that has a mum that has dealt in illicit substances?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
that's it. So
I wouldn't want to talk about them either. I understand them.
Yeah. So what do they say? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the friend of my enemy is what?
A cunt.
Oof. There we go. So yes, no, we
that just seemed unnecessarily complex.
we didn't get to the Sharkies, but I don't think anyone
cares.
Is at all confused about their mid-season review.
We know they can't beat teams above them on the table. They got a soft draw. I put the kiss of death on them. I said they're going to win the minor premiership by 6 points, and they've almost lost every game since then. So to whoever it may concern, I say you're welcome, and to whoever the Sharkies fans, I say fucking hock to it.
Fantastic.
Spit on that thing from behind.
There we go.
Because it makes me laugh. All right, so that's it.
That's us.
I don't think there's anything else to go through. Done. Finally, after some technical difficulties too.
Oh yeah,
we got it done at the top and the tail. We got it done.
Fuck yeah!
Good job, fellas.
Done.
In and out in half an hour and a half. All right. See you next week.
Later.